Hello, my PBC family and friends. Pastor Brian here with another quick bite, living the Word. So today our word comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 4. And I'm going to read us the passage, and then I want to read a quote to you from Johnny Erickson Tata. And so I just, last night when Shauna was doing her reading, she shared this quote with me, and it just was just such a beautiful quote. I was like, you know what, Lord, that is exactly right. That's what we really need to hear during this time. So what I want to read to you, though, is the verse that I think goes hand in hand with the quote I'm about to read to you. And let's just talk about that a little bit here. All right. So the verses are, we're going to pick up at verse 15, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 15. And it says, "For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of God. For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceedingly and eternal weight of glory. While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. Are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal." So as I was thinking about this idea here, and right now I think most people would describe their lives as being afflicted. Now there's some who out there like, I'm not going to let this affect me at all. That's impossible. I'm sorry. It is impossible. I mean, you're affected when you go to the stores. You're affected when you're around your family. You're affected when you're at work. There's no way you're not affected. And every one of us has experienced some affliction during this time. And so the point of the matter is this, though. Paul here says this: all these things that we see, though we may not recognize them, and in particular, especially if we refuse them, are for what? They're for our sakes, that the abundant grace of God might through us, through the thanksgiving of us, thanking God for His grace, might what? Redound to the glory of God. But then he says, and we won't faint, and even though the outward man may perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. And then he says this all too amazing verse. For our light affliction. Now we're talking about Paul the Apostle. When you compare the afflictions that we all think we're facing right now compared to what Paul the Apostle faced, I'm sorry, we're wimps. Paul, when he was stoned, he was beaten, he got bitten by snakes, he was outcast of cities, Paul went through, it was shipwrecked. There's so many things Paul went through. And we've been afflicted by what? A little bit of inconvenience? Things getting difficult? He says, our light affliction, which is but for a moment. And it's only for a moment. If you take the grand scheme of things and look at your entire life thus far, no matter what age you are, the moment you've been in, let's just pick on COVID for a second here. We've been dealing with this now since March in the United States of America anyway. We've been dealing with this since March, and now here we are in August. Less than a year, but for a moment. Worketh for us a far more exceedingly and eternal weight of glory. Now, what I want to read to you, though, is this. The reason why it's for a moment is because we recognize we're not looking for the rewards here. We're not looking for the creature comforts here. We're not looking for the good times here. We're looking for bringing glory to our God here, living a life pleasing in His sight, and looking forward to that time when we're in His presence. That is such an encouragement to me, such an exciting thing for me. That's what makes this light affliction, and only for a moment. And even if that moment was going to last for years, compared to the eternality with Jesus Christ in His presence, what is that? What is that? Oh, but it's inconvenient to me right now. Which brings me to the quote I wanted to read from Johnny Erickson Tata. Now, many of you might not know who Johnny Erickson Tata is, and I hope most of you do. But Johnny is a paraplegic, and she was an athlete beyond athletes when she was a young girl. And had great future and prospects and hopes. And then she got paralyzed from the waist down. And she has taken her paraplegic state, and she has turned that around for the glory of God in so many ways.
Actually, from her neck down.
It's from her neck down. Yeah. So from her neck down, she's paralyzed. But anyway, and so she's turned around and made that something for the glory of God. So I want to read to you a quote from her, because if anybody, I think, well, I shouldn't say anybody, but if there's somebody who I would think would probably know something about affliction, I would think that Johnny would. So let's listen to what Johnny has to say about affliction to us, if we can, for those of us who feel like we're afflicted right now. It says, affliction does not teach you about yourself from a textbook. It teaches you from experience. It will always show you what you love, either the God of comfort or the comfort that can become your God. Think about that for guys. Let me read that to you one more time. What does affliction teach us? Affliction it teaches us about ourselves, not from a textbook. It teaches you from experience. It will always show you what you love, either the God of all comfort or the comfort that can become your God. Let's remember, this affliction is light and but for a moment. Let's put our eyes back on Jesus and not on our comforts here. I love you. We love you. God loves you. And God's got this.